I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is the Political Spotlight. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. Stand by. I think we've got a little bit of issue going on here. Okay, hey, Kate, I just sent you something in the group. Can you put that in the overlays? Cool. Okay, so real quickly, before we get into anything going, Clinton just asked a question, and I don't think that everybody's aware of what's going on. So I want to make sure that you're right, Clinton. Are you talking about the old episode that we did with with Judge Arnett? Or are you thinking that I've recently talked about Arnett, and so you're looking for the episode in which I talked about him? What are you asking? Are you asking for the episode? Are you asking for the episode with the with the judge that we did like almost 2 years ago? Or are you asking if I've recently did one? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that. Okay, the interview. Man, this thing's killing me. The lag is killing me. I don't understand why we're having that. Anyways, okay, I believe I have. Let me look before we get started. This is obviously a live program here, folks. You can tell. Let me see if I've got this. I know I have the interview. I thought, I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff from the old thing, if it had Kimbrell in it, I don't use it. I don't put up. We've got a lot of great content that would be good, but if it's got stuff with Joshua in it, I don't use it. Maybe I could. Yeah, I don't have a fresh haircut. You're nuts. I need to get one. Maybe I can go through and look and see if I can do something with it. So we've got some, and all right. So tonight's episode is going to be primarily Muncie, but I do have a little bit of information that I can release. So, Clinton's probably aware. I've been talking to Clinton a little bit about this, and because he's from the area, he's aware. There has been some hubbub going around about Randolph County Superior Court Judge Dale Arnett, so we will. I'll tell you what I know. What I can tell you currently. So first and foremost, I want to say this. I've always been friendly with Arnett. Arnett and I have always had a friendly relationship. I've always enjoyed talking to the man. He is an oddball. He is an interesting individual. He is a man that's done a lot in life. He has a definite, interesting outlook. I mean, you want to talk about libertarian. The man is probably the through and through definition of libertarian. And when I say that, I mean to the point that there are some views that he has that I think other people are not okay with, and that's fine. I mean, that's part of what being a human being, and we're all able to have our own opinions. I like Dale. I like Dale as a human being. I think that he makes for an interesting lawyer. I think that he makes for an interesting judge. I think that if more judges were like Dale, things would be better. I've always gotten along with Dale, and I've talked to him privately. I've talked to him before he was a judge. I've talked to him since he's been a judge. I've talked to him since he's been on the show with us long ago under the Bastards of Politics. And I talked to him a little bit when him and the Josh stuff was going on. And I'm going to be honest. There were a couple of things that happened around the Josh thing that he did that I had question with. But I then also believe, as Josh did, he turned that he made a complete mountain out of a molehill, and he made a much worse situation. He made a kind of a misstep, a much worse situation, and I think he took it too far. And I distanced myself from what Josh was doing. I think he was, at that point, listen, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I have no ability to practice medicine or to diagnose anyone. I'm just talking as me, my dumbass self. I think Josh Kimbrell was bipolar. Me personally, I believe that he was bipolar. I believe that he would have these swings of periods of where he would be manic and he would put out a lot of content and do a lot of stuff. And then he would do this thing where he would be really depressed and, he wouldn't put out any content and you wouldn't see him. And I think that probably, I'm not making any excuses for him. I think he uses that as an excuse for what happened in his criminal case, but it is what it is. So I've always gotten along with Arnett, and I disagreed with how Josh handled himself concerning Arnett in all of that build up to all that craziness. So because of that, I've wanted to reach out to Arnett a couple of times and talk to Judge Arnett and just be like, hey, I'm not trying to interfere with your position on the bench. I'm not doing this or that. I just want to let you know that I had nothing to do with that. I didn't agree with this or that, and, let him know where I stood. I never did that. I know now from talking to various people through the grapevine that Arnett never blamed Brandon, Kate, or I for that he knew that that's not something that we took part in, and that was very much a Josh thing. So that makes me happy. Okay, now let me bring us up to date here. I have always respected Arnett for various reasons, and there are arguments I could have with him and agreements I could have with him, whatever. But I've not really thought much about him over the last year. And then last week, I had heard from a source that Arnett had been removed from the bench. I was told that Arnett had been removed from the Superior Court bench. And I was told this by a really, someone that I would consider an upstanding person in the community, someone that is connected to the system, government, law enforcement, the judicial system, somewhere around in there. And I was told that this happened last week, and I was like, there's no way that this happened. There is no way that this happened. There's no way. Because removing a judge from a bench is a major deal. Yeah, he's pro-cannabis. I would say that's a pretty fair statement. But I was like, there's no way that a judge has been removed from the bench. And I had not heard this anywhere. I looked into the newspapers. I looked into the new Winchester News Gazette. There's nothing. And I'm like, I haven't heard this. So I kind of stepped away from it, didn't think or do anything about it. So then it kept playing on my mind, and I was like, well, I'll just do some preliminary checking. And I looked into it. I called the Randolph County Clerk's office, and they said they didn't hear anything about that, and they knew nothing about it. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting, because if he would have been removed from the bench, the clerk's office would have known. So then I was like, what the hell? I'll just go ahead and I will contact his court, and I'll ask. And so I contacted his court on Monday, and I asked, is or has been, which is kind of strange, is now or was or has the judge been removed from the bench? Has he been suspended? Was he suspended? Is he suspended now? Anything like this? And the answer I got from them were, no, not that. No, because first of all, that's not gone in place yet. And second of all, Randolph County only has 2 courts. So they won't lose. They won't be affected by the cut. But they said, no, he's on the bench as we speak. So I thought, okay, well, if he's on the bench currently as we speak, then nothing's happened. So I got off the phone. I thought, you know what? I'm going to look up the roll of attorneys, which in Indiana, there's like this like the hall of justice, the roll of attorneys. And that's where you can go to see if an attorney has their license, if the license has been suspended, if there's disciplinary complaints filed against an attorney. And since a judge is an attorney, I looked and I found nothing. And so that pretty much put the nail in that coffin. Nope, nothing's gone on. This is some kind of scuttlebutt. It's nonsense. Well, then I found out that last week, all judges everywhere were down at a conference, at a judicial conference in Indianapolis. And so none of the judges were in court last week. And now I'm thinking, oh, well, this is nothing. He was just down at a training conference that they do a couple times a year. And that means nothing. Everything's okay. So it was no big deal. So, you know, that's what I thought. And then today, reaching out, another source reached out to me and sent me the following information. And so I'm going to put this up there so you guys can see this. So this says, in the Indiana Supreme Court, the matter of the appointment of Judge Pro Tem in Randolph Superior Court, order appointing Judge Pro Tem. The Honorable Dale W. Arnett, Judge of the Randolph Superior Court, has notified this court, the Supreme Court, that he will be taking a leave of absence beginning on April 27th, 2025. Senior Judge Kimberly S. Dowling has expressed willingness to serve as the Judge Pro Tem in the Randolph Superior Court beginning on April 28th, 2025. It is therefore ordered that pursuant to Indiana Trial Rule 63, Senior Judge Kimberly S. Dowling is appointed Judge Pro Tem in the Randolph Superior Court effective April 28, 2025, and shall remain Judge Pro Tem until further order of this court. This order shall be sufficient authority for Senior Judge Dowling to continue the employment of court personnel and otherwise discharge the duties of Judge of the Randolph Superior Court until further order of this court. Senior Judge Dowling shall be entitled to compensation for her service, paid by the state of Indiana, computed at the same rate as the regular judge, commencing from the effective date of her appointment pursuant to Trial Rule 63D, done at Indianapolis, Indiana on 4/23/25. So this was signed by Loretta Rush, the Chief Justice of Indiana, on yesterday's date. So that is that. This now lets me know, number one, he has not been removed. He is not being removed. He is taking a leave of his own accord, number one. Number two, that leave of absence could be a week. It could be a month. It could be a year. Arnett has 3 years from today until his term is up. So the rest of 2025, 2026, 2027, and Arnett's term as judge is up on December 31st, 2028. So Arnett would need to seek re-election to the bench in the May primary of 2028 and in the general election of 2028 if he wanted to remain judge, or someone will run for his seat that in those elections. So Barnett still has a good 3 years until he is off the bench or runs for re-election. So I have heard a bit more about this, but I'm currently unable to say what's going on. I am looking into this and I am trying to determine what is actual public information and what is not. When I can tell you more about this, I will tell you more about this. When we can have more, when I can know what the issues are at hand and what's going on and what it looks like can happen, will happen, I will tell everybody. That's first about Dale Arnett. I like Arnett. I've got nothing ill to say about him. Okay. I hope everything is okay. My thoughts and my prayers are with him, his family, and the people that are in the court and under the court. So I'll keep you all posted and I'll let you guys know what's going on there. And I'm currently in the process of finding out what we can release and what can't be released. All right. That brings us to the biggest point. And that is the people of Randolph County are screwed because Kim Dowling is going to be your judge starting Monday. And that is not good. I would highly, 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 highly recommend anybody that is in Randolph County that is thinking of filing anything. Don't do anything that takes you before the Superior Court judge. No, because she's not taking over as a full-time judge. She's just simply filling in. But this is not a good thing. We beat her in Delaware County. We sent her packing, and it's like in the old vampire movies. It's not good enough to just, I guess, stake them through the heart. You also need to put the thing around their neck, cut their head off, burn it in fire. I don't know. No. She's got nothing to do with it because Arnett didn't have anything to do with Kimbrell's case. Kimbrell's case is done through a special judge, which is Judge Body from Grant County. So that's that. Okay. I will know more about this and have more about this soon. I'll keep you posted. This is all I know, or this is all I can release at this point. I will keep you posted when I know I can release more, when I've got more, and when I got the thumbs up. Really quickly, this brings me to the last part of the breaking news before we go into the rest of the show. Danny, Josh's ex-wife, and her 3 children were issued subpoenas today at about 1:30 for court tomorrow at 8 a.m. And that's, I've never heard of anything like this. So they are going to have their change of plea hearing tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm going to come over and I'm going to go over there and watch what happens. So the change of plea is tomorrow. I've never really heard of anything like that before. They are really trying to jam this through. And I've got some opinions, but I'll hold them off until tomorrow. We don't know about sentencing. So generally the change of plea and the sentencing would be on separate days, but not always. And I think there's a small part of me I think that there's a small part that makes me believe this judge might go ahead and sentence him tomorrow. I don't know. So it's Clinton. So we'll just have to see. I don't know. So tomorrow they will go in. Josh will officially offer his change of plea during the hearing. He will accept. That's the judge has already been aware of this. The judge, this is not a standard situation. The judge has been aware of the plea. The date for them to be aware and them to tell so the judge could take that under advisement was 2 weeks ago. Josh has already told the court he was willing to take it. They were waiting on Danny and the kids to take it. And the level 1 felony will be dropped. So all of this is already known. That's all done. This is just at this point basically a formality. Right. So yeah, that's what I'm telling you. So they're going to go before the judge tomorrow and officially enter that in, and we very well could see Josh sentenced tomorrow. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. I believe we said, we're doing a show tomorrow night, right? Is that what we said, Kate? Okay, so we're going to be live tomorrow. And so I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on with that and tell you kind of what happens tomorrow evening. So we will have a show tomorrow and talk to you about what's going on. I thought we were going to have Catherine on tonight or tomorrow, but she's tied up for the time being and won't be on until sometime later next week. I want to have Bree back on because they had I was tied up last night, but they had their town hall thing in Anderson last night, and it looked like it went off very well. And no, there is no recording of circuit court or superior court. I can't take pictures, can't audio record, can't video record. So no, I'll just go in old-fashioned wise and take pen and paper and take notes and bring the information to the outside for you all. If you want to follow along before tomorrow night's show, go and check out my Facebook page and Twitter, as I will put the information on there ahead of time. So you can find that information if you want to put that on Facebook, on Twitter. I will have that information out there, and you guys can find that right there. So it'll be on my personal, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. It will be on the Political Spotlight, and then it will also be on my Twitter page. So I'll kind of put just a summary of what happens, but then we'll go live tomorrow night at 9 p.m. and give you more detail. So that's all some court-related information currently as it relates to Randolph County. Has nothing to do with the rest of the show. Yeah, it is open to the public. And it is you're permitted to be there, and yada yada yada. So you can show up and do that. Okay, so from there, we're gonna shift. As soon as I know more about Arnett, as soon as I'll let you know, Stumblefoot. As soon as we know more about what goes on with everything happening in Randolph County Court, I will keep you posted. It sounds like it's a done deal with Dowling being over there. I sure as hell hope that's not the case, because Dowling is the absolute worst kind of judge to send to Randolph County, because she has a soft spot in her heart for child molesters and rapists and murderers, and so good luck, Randolph County. And kind of hates men, so it's like a whole big thing with her, but it is what it is. All right, so now getting into the city of Muncie. We've got a lot that we want to talk about based out of Muncie. And this is kind of come up out of nowhere. So back about 2 or 3 months ago, when I was requesting the information pertaining to the contract with Dustin Clark, about a month after I had initially requested Dustin's contract, I had also requested Adam Leach's contract. And now I want to say I have requested Adam's contract on at least 2 other occasions since he first. So remember, to take everybody back a little bit, we're going to be talking about Muncie, okay? And you know, when you hear someone says, "Oh, I've got the 411 on something. I've got the information on this." Well, tonight's episode is called The 511 on Muncie's Adam Leach. And no, I didn't hit a wrong number. It is the 511, and I'll explain, and you'll understand why that is in a moment. But so tonight we're talking about the 511. There's 2 separate things that we're going to be talking about, both Muncie-centric tonight. The 511 on Muncie's Adam Leach, and some issues concerning a couple of different projects going on currently in Muncie. All right, so first and foremost, the 511 on Muncie's Adam Leach. So to take everybody back, to remind everybody, when Ridenhour first 211 is what you call when you dig here in Indiana. 211, or either 211 or 811. I can't remember. But 411 is information, and this is kind of a play on that. But you'll understand why 511 is important here in a moment. So when Ridenour won mayor and he started putting together his department head, the very first thing, one of the first things he announced was he was going to put Dave Smith, a former state trooper, in charge of the Muncie Streets Department. And that was totally insane. Because this man, while he might be a nice enough guy, knew literally nothing about streets, knew nothing about plows. I mean, has never like lifted a shovel in his life, you know, and knew nothing about outside labor, a signs department, you know, just, it was insane that Dave Smith was being called and put over the streets department. Well, 3 days after Dan made that announcement, Dan rescinded the announcement and said, Dave is not going to be our streets superintendent. We have someone else that we're going to put in over the streets department, and we have a special job for Dave, and we're going to tell you what that is here in a little bit. And then we never heard anything. So in the next couple of days, Dan then announced that he was going to do something that Muncie hasn't done in a long time. Muncie used to have a city engineer full-time. And then they determined we don't need a city engineer full-time. It would make more sense to not pay that person a salary, you know, 40 hours a week or salary or whatever, you know, every year. That doesn't make sense. We will instead zero out that line item, and we will instead contract with specific city engineers or engineers that will do specific things. All right, that made sense. Well, under the Tyler administration, Dennis Tyler, the city of Muncie had several contracts with several different city engineers. Ridenour then changed that. Ridenour said, we're going to have a full-time city engineer, and we're going to pay that city engineer. And we're also going to have that city engineer be over the street department. And a lot of people question that. There are ways in which that could work. And there are people that could probably do a good job with that. But the man that Dan tapped to be the city engineer knew nothing about supervision of union employees. He was an engineer. I'm not going to say he wasn't intelligent. I would say that, you know, he was highly intelligent, but knew nothing about the street department. So he comes in and he swears in Brian Stevens Hotop, and he gives him a salary and does all of this stuff. And then I start stumbling on the fact that they're taking contracts to the Board of Works. And I'm like, I'm confused. You don't have a department head that has a contract. A department head is not a contract employee. Moreover, you don't have contract employees swear oaths like you do the chief of police, the fire chief, and people on the boards. So it really didn't make sense. Then came along the situation. Where we found out that Brian Stevens Hotop, as a contract employee, was punishing street employees, street and union employees. Well, that definitely can't happen. Matter of fact, their contract says that, they basically, there's a chain of custody and a hierarchy of who's who. And you don't have the guy that's contracted to do the coffee or to clean the toilets disciplining someone that's been a 12-year union employee with the street department. So that seemed a little strange. The other thing was, we found out that Brian Stevens Hotop, and whether it be him personally or his small podunk firm that was created, the entity that was Brian Stevens Hotop was making like $500,000, $600,000 a year. And now I know that engineers make good money. My brother is an engineer. My brother has degrees in chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, and civil engineering. He has all three of those degrees. Okay. My brother, has the degrees that allow people to like shit in golden toilets. Like, he's kind of got the trifecta. Brandon is an engineer. So I'm aware that engineers are worth a pretty penny. That being said, we did a hunt. And I'll still say this to everybody out there watching this. Find me a municipal city civil engineer, or an engineer for a county, or an engineer that works for a local government. So meaning an engineer that works for a town, which that hardly wouldn't happen, an engineer that works for a city, or an engineer that works for a county. Hell, I'll even throw in at the state level. Find me a state level civil engineer that works for a state government that makes more than $600,000 a year. We were not able to find anybody, and I'm talking, we looked at New York, we looked at Las Vegas, we looked at LA, we looked at Houston, we looked in Chicago, we looked at Miami, we looked at all of these big cities, and Brian Stevens Hotop was making like $250,000, $300,000 more than the next closest engineer to him. So it seemed wild, just totally crazy to me that this was happening. And they kept trying to increase the amount of money that he was making. So then at some point, he ends up leaving. So he's gone. And then they bring in Adam Leach. Somewhere, around in there, COVID time. So Adam Leach comes to town, and now Adam Leach is said to have come from, I think, Tennessee, and he's kind of, everybody knows Adam. He's kind of like the slow walking, likes locking the door in his office and taking dirty pictures, and taking pictures while he's in the shower and doing things like that, all that kind of stuff, and apparently he's really smart too, apparently. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen it. But they put him in the exact same situation that they put Hotop in. He's city engineer, and they say that he's over the street department. But you've got him in a bad situation because he technically can't punish anybody. So we wanted to take a look at what his contract looked at. Now, I have done something bad because I've went over with you guys how I do records. Basically, any record that I request from January 1st of a year through December 31st of a year, I keep up here on my desk. And basically what I do, I probably could develop a better filing system. I probably should. But essentially what I do is I start out at the end of the year. I go through everything and I file everything away, put it in a box, label it, and be done with it. Put it back here in the pile behind me. And I start out with a clean desk right here. And the very first document that I request, be it from Muncie or the county or Newcastle or whatever, I use it, we talk about it, I do everything with it, and I put it right here. And then the next document that I request, whether it's from the same city, a different city or state or whatever, I look at it, we go over it, and I put it here. And I stack that up however high it goes. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's not. Then I know if I need anything, I don't go looking in this thing. I don't go looking here. I know it is in that stack. Well, something has happened and I have lost track of the first 2 times I have requested Adam Leach's contracts. It is what it is. So I recently requested his contract again, and I found that on April 2nd, they just renewed his contract for his new 12-month period. And I want to go over with you guys. I want to go over this contract with you, and I want us to look at this contract. Now, for the record, I have been aware that there have been other people that have had a hard time getting this. I know that I've heard that Nora Powell has tried to reach out to this and has had a hard time getting it, and others have. So I've got my hands on it. Yeah, and I'm going to reach out and get those old records. I should have them too, but I don't. So I'm now filing a record request for the old contracts. I don't need them. I have the newest contract, and this newest contract is what is in play now. Those old contracts don't matter. Let's see here. What did you say? What is it? Where is it, Kate? What is that from 2023? What? Okay. So that's 2022. Adam's salary in 2022 as city engineer was $80,999.44. He then made an additional $21,756.80 as the sanitary district board member. Adam's salary in 2023 went up $3,000 on his city engineer side, so he now made $83,570.12 as city engineer / street department, and for the sanitary district he made $22,921.60. And so those are 2 different entities. The $80,999 and the 83,570 he makes from the City of Muncie. The 21,756.80 and the 22,921.60 he makes from the Muncie Sanitary District Board. They are two different entities paying. They're not one and the same. So really, Adam, working for the City of Muncie as a contract employee or not, he is making a good chunk of money from Muncie, and then a good chunk of money from the sanitary board. And so he's got three jobs, really. He's the city engineer / street department superintendent, and he sits on the Muncie Sanitary District Board. So, just keep that in mind. Well, in 2023 is when they announced that Adam was no longer going to be a full-time street superintendent and city engineer. He was then going to go to be a contract employee. Okay. So that's when he left being a full-time employee for the City of Muncie, a department head, if you will, to being a contract employee. Well, that's where the contracts come into position. And I want to go through this contract with you here. Let me pull this up on the screen and make sure you guys can see it. I will put a link to this in the description so you guys can see this, and I will also post it on social media once we're done so everyone can see this as well. Okay. So here's Adam's contract. Public Works Professional Services Contract. This agreement contract made and entered into this 18th day of March 2024. So keep that in mind. They didn't change the dates. Between the City of Muncie and WSP USA Consultant, collectively referred to as parties, as executed pursuant to terms and conditions set forth herein, is governed by Indiana Code, in consideration of those mutual undertaking and covenants, the parties agree to the following. Definitions. Contract documents. Terms. Shall mean and to include the following. This contract attachment, a scope of work. Contract time. Term contract time refers to the time it will take for the consultant to perform the professional services contracted upon pursuant to this contract. Work. The term work refers to contracted upon subject of this agreement pursuant to provisions specified in Article 5. Okay. Contract documents from the contract which represent the entire and integrated agreement between the city and consultant and supersedes prior negotiations, representations, agreements, either written or oral. This contract shall be effective for a period of 365 calendar days and shall commence on notice to proceed date and remain ineffective for 365 calendar days from the notice to proceed date. Cost. All payments provided herein are subject to appropriations made and funds allocated and provided by laws of the state of Indiana. The city shall pay the consultant for performance of the contract to the current funds as follows. Not to exceed $511,580. So, because this doesn't have any other figure in here, I read this simply to say that the work that Adam Leach is performing can cost the City of Muncie $511,579.99. There's where the 511 comes into play, if you haven't figured that out. So, wow. Adam really made a pretty big jump from back in 2023 when he was making $83,570, 12 for his services. Now he can make $511,579.99. That's a pretty big jump. And you see it right there. You see it right here. All right. Let's go down and see how this works out. By executing this contract, the consultant represents and acknowledges that the amount evidenced above is reasonable compensation for all of the work that the term of this contract is adequate for the performance of work, and the consultant has carefully examined all applicable documents. The consultant shall be responsible for excess cost if the cost of the bid subcontract work exceeds the negotiated compensation amount. All costs related to sub-consultants' claims or charges. The consultant's failure to coordinate work itself performs with work of other consultants. Okay, let's move on. Delays in work caused by the consultant or sub-consultants and employees. Correction of work not performed in accordance with the contract documents. Correction of work performed by the consultant or its subcontractors. Payments to consultants. Okay. What area does that cover in requirements for the city? I don't really know what you're talking about there, Karen. I think you're asking me, this is the city engineer / street department. But this contract should lay out what his duties are. So we'll read that on. Payments to consultants. All payments shall be made 35 days in arrears in conformance with state fiscal policies and procedures and as required by Indiana Code. The direct deposit by electronic funds transfers the financial institution designated by the consultant in writing unless specific waiver has been obtained from the Indiana Auditor of State. No payments will be made in advance of receipt of the goods or services that are subject to this contract except as permitted. Okay. If the consultant is being paid in advance for the maintenance of equipment, software, or services of a subscription, then pursuant to Indiana Code, the consultant agrees that if it fails to fully provide or perform under this contract upon receipt of written notice from the state, it shall promptly refund the consideration pay prorated through the date of non-performance. Condition of payment. All services provided by the consultant shall be in accordance with this contract, in accordance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws, ordinances. The city shall not be required to pay for work found to be inconsistent with the contract, yada, yada, yada. Funding cancellation. If the city makes a written determination that funds are not appropriated otherwise available to support continuation of performance of this contract, the contract shall be canceled, and determination if the funds are not appropriated or otherwise available to support continuation of performance shall be final and conclusive. Penalties, interest, and attorney's fees. The city will in good faith performance required obligations hereunder and does not agree to pay any penalties, liquidated damages, interest, or attorney's fees except permitted by law. Audits. The consultant acknowledges that it may be required to submit to an audit of funds paid through this contract. I mean, that's all pretty standard stuff. Okay, moving on here. This basically lays out, it talks about fees related to technology and all of that. Duties of consultant. Okay, here we go. This is where we need to really pay attention. Duties of consultant. So this is the day-to-day work, or the week-to-week, or month-to-month, or however you want to look at it, work of Adam Leach. The work entails the city requests the consultant. The work entails the city's request to consultant to provide seconded personnel to the city to assist the city in various duties, which will be performed subject to the direction of the city's authorized designee. The city shall provide the seconded personnel with the office space and associated supplies, computers, equipment necessary to perform the duties. The seconded personnel shall in no event perform non-eligible duties that are reserved for city employees. Okay. During the term of this contract, the seconded personnel shall remain employees of the consultant and shall continue to have their salary and benefits paid for by the consultant. In no event will the personnel be considered city employees and shall not receive any benefits normally occurring to city employees unless provided by the consultant. The consultant shall also provide the following services relative to this contract: compliance. Consultants and each of its agents performing work under this contract shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and county local laws, ordinances, and regulations. Consultant certifies that by entering into this contract that neither it nor its principals is presently in arrears in payment of taxes, permit fees, or other statutory, regulatory, or judicially required payments to the state of Indiana or the country or local governments. The consultant agrees that any payments currently due to the state of Indiana or its county or local governments may be withheld from payments due to the consultant. Additionally, further work or payment. I mean, this is just a bunch of words on a page. All right. So far, nowhere so far have we seen anything mentioning the city engineer and what those job or duties entail, or moreover, the city street department. Keep in mind that this contract is for the man that's going to be, or that currently is, the superintendent of the street department. Keep that in mind. Consultant affirms that if any entity described in IC Title 23 is properly registered and owes no outstanding reports to the Indiana Secretary of State. Assignment successors. Consultant binds its successors or assignees to all terms and conditions of this contract. Consultant may assign its right to receive payment to such third parties as the consultant may desire without prior written consent of the city. Consultant shall not assign or subcontract a whole or any part of this contract without the city's prior written consent. Let's see here. We've got antitrust issues here. Change in work. Consultant shall not commence any additional work or change in the scope of work until authorized by writing. Access to records. The consultant and its subcontracts, if any, shall maintain all books, documents, papers, accounting records, and other evidence pertaining to all costs incurred under this contract. They shall make such materials available at their respective offices at all reasonable times during the contract and for 3 years from the date of the final payment. For inspection by the city or its authorized designees, copies shall be furnished at no cost to the city if requested. Progress reports. Progress reports. The consultant shall submit progress reports to the city upon monthly upon submitting an invoice. So I don't know what that is, but I'm going to start requesting his invoices and finding out where our progress reports are. Okay. Progress reports shall serve as the purpose of assuring the city that work is progressing in line with the schedule and compliance can be reasonably assured on a scheduled date. And let me tell you, they have entered into this contract. This is something that they can't say, well, it doesn't matter. That's no big deal. No, it's in a contract. You signed it. My God, it better be there. All right, just keeping you posted. Because we're going to start asking this stuff. I mean, this is nothing. So far, nothing still talks about conflict of interest, immediate family, interested party, city employee, consultant comments that it neither has nor will have direct or indirect financial interest by way of interested party. This is nuts, folks. We're now into page 6, and we still don't know what this man's job is. Neither do any of his quote-unquote subordinates. Okay, nothing here. City may cancel the contract. Consultant has an affirmative obligation under the contract to disclose the city when interested party or becomes city employee. Confidentiality. Consultant understands and agrees that data, materials, and information disclosed to the consultant may contain confidential and protected information. So just FYI, we're going to read through all of this. You know, there's a place I'm going to skip when it's just total word salad and doesn't mean anything that this should mean. But I'm going to let you know so you're not just like, well, how long are we doing this? There are 14 pages. We're on page 8 right now, but there are 14 total pages we're going. So we're almost there. Hopefully we'll get to what their job is here in the end. Licensing standard, debarment, suspension. Oh, let's get down here and take a look at this. Disputes. What's this guy's job? What job does this guy have? Drug-free workplace. Employment eligibility verification. All right, maybe this has something. As required by Indiana Code, the consultant swears or affirms under the penalty of perjury that the consultant does not knowingly employ any unauthorized alien. Oh, nope. That's about aliens, so we can back out on that. Page 9. This has to mean something. Nothing. This is all just legalese. This is nothing about his actual work. What is his job for the city of Muncie? What gives him the right to be the supervisor over the street superintendent? Or what gives him the right to be the street superintendent? Insurance. Okay, we're getting here. Here's page 11. Insurance, merger modification, notice to parties. Okay. There's Board of Works. Here's WSP. Here's page 12. Renewal option, severability, substitute, page 13. It's got to be here. It's got to be here. Taxes, termination. And page 14. Here we are. So I want to know, can anybody tell me what Adam Leach is supposed to be doing for the city of Muncie based off of this 14-page document? Can anybody tell me anything that matters in any way about this agreement between the city of Muncie and Adam Leach? Does anybody know? Does the mayor of Muncie know? And where are the payments that are being made on his monthly invoices? Yeah. So now my question is to the city council. I keep hearing everybody say, "Oh, Dan's freaking out. Dan is freaking out. He's freaking out about the Senate Bill 1. He's freaking out. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how they're going to be able to do what they need to do. He doesn't know how he's going to be able to scrimp and save on money." Let me tell you something, Dan. Quit screwing around with the bullshit. $500,000 raises for the police here, and $500,000 for the firemen there, and $600,000 for this building, and $511,000 for a full-time city engineer that I don't think that we need 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'll be honest, I don't think it's needed. I don't know. Do any of you have any suggestions? I don't see anything in there that pertains to the street department whatsoever. So my question to AFSCME is, what allows this man to be in charge of you? How does that work? How does Donnie write? What goes on between Adam, Donnie, and the HR woman? Who's in charge? What's Dan do? Kate says, I didn't see anything in there that really applied to the engineering position either. What is he supposed to do? What is he being paid for? Dan, do we know? I don't know that Dan even knows what's going on. Maybe I need to take this contract to the Board of Works next week and ask them. Ask them what it is what this contract is. Let's say you. You're like not plugged in, or your microphone's not down, or something.
Can you look up Dustin's contract?
I'll look up Dustin's contract.
Can you just look at it? You don't even have to show it. Can you look at it?
Yeah.
I think even Dustin's contract says that, that he's supposed to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a list of shit to do, right?
Yeah.
And Dustin's was like, what? I don't know.
8 pages, maybe?
Yeah. But, I mean, his had a list of stuff that he was supposed to do, along with all the legalese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is there no list of what this guy's supposed to be doing? $500,000 a year, and he doesn't have a list of, this is the shit you're supposed to get taken care of here, bud?
Yeah, it's really strange. I mean, look, here's Dustin's. It's the exact same contract
with a list of duties.
Contract, Article 2, General 2.
One duty, dear.
To be the mayor's friend.
Oh, he's supposed to be the mayor's
right.
friend. Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes. That's true. Article 2 contract.
And I just want to put this out here. I will be your friend for $500,000 a year.
Yeah, right. No kidding. I won't say another negative thing about him. For like $250,000.
Said he'll do it for $250,000.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. We can be the undercutters.
I'll even clean up.
Don't forget that Dustin is being paid by Dan as a contract employee right now as well. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Let's look at this. Here's Dustin's. I mean, it's got Dustin's has all kinds of crap in here that makes sense. You know?
Actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well,
But
I mean,
it's structured in a way that makes sense. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you get paid for thing that you're supposed to do. I mean,
yeah.
The contract makes sense. Knowing who it's attached to doesn't necessarily.
Right. Well, yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it says more than Adams.
Right.
So where do we go from this? What my question is to the AFSCME people. My question, I just had somebody, let me go back and see if I can find this. I just had somebody, man, I'm trying to think where I would find this. City of Muncie Communications, I bet. City of Muncie Communications. Let's go take a deep dive together. Oh, is this it? All comments. Nope, there are only 3 comments there. Ooh, this might be it. Give me a second. All comments. Nope, it's not there. It's got to be in one of these newly. Here we go. It's going to be in one of these. I know it is. Yeah. No, not there. We're coming close. We're coming close because there was somebody that said that kind of asked me, told me I need to do a all the good things that are happening in Muncie post. Thank you for all of the good things that are coming to Muncie. And I was like, what? Okay. Well, I can't find it. Oh, well. The City of Muncie's been posting these like AI things saying like look at all the good we're doing in Muncie. And several people have been commenting and being like, well, you know, this looks transparent and we appreciate that, you know, it seems as if you're trying to be, or at least attempting to be transparent. And it's kind of like, are they really? Or, is this something that they're sitting on Facebook and they're sitting on ChatGPT and they are posting, a couple things they've done. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyways, I really question these things. Like, I appreciate all the good things that Dan's done. There have been things that Dan has done that has been good. There are some things that have been done well. I understand that's going to happen. What's funny to me is people can't ever do that same thing I just did about Dennis. They're being like, well, Dennis didn't do anything good, but Dan has done good. And it's like, okay, well, I don't like a lot of the things that Dan has done, but I can still say that I recognize some good. So I think it makes you hypocritical that you can't do the same thing about somebody that's not Dan. But then something like this happens. Something like this happens where we have someone who's supposed to be a conservative Republican or a conservative libertarian-ish leaning Republican that Dan often recalls, tells people that he is and says that calls himself. But then we see fiscal insanity, like what's happening with Adam Leach and Dustin Clark. I almost forgot Dustin Clark's name for a minute. I was going to call him Dustin Green Goblin, Green Lantern, Green Light Resources. But it blows my mind. Never trust an ex-banker. Are you truly ever an ex-banker? Once a banker, always a banker? I'm really shocked, I guess. I'm really shocked by what's happening. Now, let me tell you the other issue that I have. And this might even be worse than that. So, everybody, you're all aware of the Till Pond, right? Till Pond. Let me ask you, those of you that are here watching this currently still right now, is something currently happening with Till Pond? Like, are they telling us that they're currently underway of doing something with it? Let me look. Muncie Till Pond project. Yeah, looky here. Muncie says Till Pond construction about to begin. Look at this. This is going to be so nice. Let's listen.
Muncie's mayor first announced plans to buy a 13-acre plot on South Tillotson Avenue in December of 2020 to become a public fishing lake and nature park. But even then, Dan Ridenour said site improvements would have to wait because it was being paid for by the edit funds he controls. The land itself cost $25,000. At the time, he explained,
I have been told how much what I envision would cost, and so we may have to scale it back a little bit. My edit funds are really pretty much, they're tied up for the next 3 years, unless we were able to put together through grants.
More than 4 years later, Ridenour's administration says $500,000 of about $931,000 in a contract for construction will be paid for by a state grant. Muncie's Flatland Resources won that contract. City engineer Adam Leach says the company has already started clearing some trees at the site. He says the city's plans include a walking trail around the 4.4-acre pond.
Folks that want to take a nature jog, that type of thing, it will be an improved trail. It will also have fishing piers. It is kind of meant to be more of a natural area park.
When asked about a timeline, Leach said the city anticipates construction to finish by the end of this year, depending on weather. In Muncie, Stephanie Weekman, IPR News.
All right. That was published on February 12th, 2025. So let's find out when that Board of Works meeting was. City of Muncie. Adam made what statement? Okay. Videos live. All right, here we go. Let's go back to Board of Works, February 12th. Board of Works, February 5th. Muncie Sanitary District. Okay, right here we are.
As presented.
The professional.
We have contract for Till Pond. Much. Excellent. Having none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Craig, very much. Excellent work. We do have a few items of new business. We have a contract for Till Pond design build with Flatland Resources. We have Adam Leach, city control.
Let's listen here.
City engineer.
Nope, we're not in control like that. Good morning. Adam Leach, city engineer. So yes, we have it's a professional services contract essentially for design build of a recreation area at Till Pond. We went through the RFP process here at the Board of Works. Flatland was selected as most responsive. We have since negotiated contract, and contract is basically before you, $931,000 and some change. $500,000 of that is being paid for by a grant. I believe that is a recreation grant, which is done through state parks, I think. Maybe. I can check on that for you. But either way, there's $500,000 paid for a grant. I believe the remainder, $431,000, is going to be paid for through MRC and or edit. And Mayor can confirm that. He's right there. But Any questions?
For the sake of someone who may not know where Mill Pond is, what would you?
Mill Pond, you idiot.
Pond is basically at,
Mill Pond, I'm sorry.
sorry. It's at the intersection of, well, it's not at the intersection. It's on Tillotson, just past 12th Street. It's kind of.
Okay. Let's go back and listen to the Board of Works on the 5th to see what kind of bid process this went through. Because that was the 12th. So we want to go to the 5th to see, did they open up bids?
Card, and we have
Second.
Okay, do we have any comments? We can proceed. 24 West 10th Street.
Prohibits us doing that, but I'm not sure period start then today. That's fine. I guess I don't have a problem either way, but
this is just to extend our contract with the Muncie Mission. They
All opposed?
Matter of public safety that the government that didn't 150th anniversary years ago, they rebuilt that.
Was trying to try to move.
So they didn't.
approval of the agreement with,
To Adam, I think he would
Yeah.
be the one. So
I would rather have work done rather than early rather than not.
you will find that out.
Does it renew in August? Why? Why we are? I guess there's nothing that prohibits us doing that, but I'm not sure why we are.
Yeah, is it for August, right? Oh, yeah,
I mean,
the current one is through
Is
August.
the renewal period start?
For the parking space.
Okay.
And I'll say,
So they didn't do anything with the bid then. So when's the first one? When's the next one? All right. That's the 29th of January. Let's go back to the 29th of January. Let's listen to this. Board of Works, 29th of January. Let's listen here.
presented.
Great. Any comments, questions about the minutes? Right. Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Craig, claims, please.
good morning.
Good morning.
Sent out the claims yesterday afternoon, and really not a lot on this week's claims. Just we did have a purchase of road salt and mostly utilities and healthcare claims, and we did have the insurance this
Awesome.
week on there. And also that we let you know that we did do a second run on utilities last week. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Linda, do you have any?
I have none, except I did note we had one more Muncie Public Works on a
Yeah,
claim.
yeah,
So
I
we're going to have another
Already
discussion.
addressed that. So
I just have a quick question on page 16.
16.
Yeah, it is under the edit fund for the sponsorship of 5,000. Is that also Muncie Action Plan? Because it's blank.
We get to 16 here. Yeah. Yep, both of them are.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
I move approval of the claims for $1,073,798.
I will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg. We have no unfinished business. Under new business, we have a couple of employment agreements.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chief Sloan with Muncie Police. We do have a couple of contracts that are for our front desk employees that are, they are quite a bit of load.
We do by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.
All right, we're going to go back and listen to one more. And there's a point here. Okay, 22nd. Let's listen here.
All those in favor?
On there, it's one claim, so we
Right.
really just need to put it on one.
Okay. Lola?
No, thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the register of claims?
I move approval of the claims for $740,838.
We have a street closure application.
Field House to the mission again. And
Of the application for the street closure.
And I'll second.
21 years.
21 years.
That's amazing. Well, that's so well done too. Okay. Do we have any other comments or questions? Okay. Having none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations. And we'll have paperwork signed.
In the opposite student life. So
It's a good event.
Paperwork for you right after.
We don't.
Yeah,
generally-
renewals.
Second.
Okay. Of business for.
Okay. So we've not heard. No, Karen, those are all claims we've heard in the past. Those are all meetings we've listened to. We were just going back through them to listen to see if they actually did a bid process. The point of the matter was they never did a bid process for Flatland Resources. Flatland Resources, no bids. There were never any bids. Okay. And okay, so that so far I'm issuing a record request for all of the bids that they looked at for Till Pond. Now, what about the project just across the way from City Hall? Everybody familiar with that? That project? The downtown Muncie Welcome Center. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. What is the name of the park that they're doing? Man, I tell you, I wish I knew who was on here. I wish Charlize was here, because I think Charlize knows the name of that that thing, and I can't for the life of me think of it. Here's what I'm getting at. So I'll show you where I'm talking about, so you guys will know. Let me open up Google Earth. Ah, damn it. I knew it. The Muncie Point Park. Let me show you what we got. We got a problem here. Where I'm pointing out to you a problem. Charlize, I know you've got to have some information on that. You don't got to do it now, but if you can find that information and point it in my direction, I'll be looking for it too. I'm not trying to get you to do work. I mean, I can certainly look it up, but I I thought that you had some information about that. That's the only reason I asked. So I'm going to show you all something here, and this is this is something that I think is a problem. Okay. Let me show you what we're dealing with here, folks. So here is downtown Muncie. Okay. There's Central and the Y that way. Here is City Hall there. Okay. If we go here, go towards City Hall, south on Walnut. We're going south on Walnut. Maybe we'll see if we can go in here. Oh, yeah, we can. Look, here's City Hall. We'll cut through City Hall parking lot here, do this parking lot. And we're coming up to the point. Here's the point. All this area right here. You know, folks, they're going to make it into a little park area. See, there's where this was the sunny days. This is way back in time before. This was November 2021 before they tore all that down. And that's back when it was busy back then. There was a old police uniform shop in there. I used to go to all the time. Here's where they started laying stuff out for it. Here it is. Well, let me tell you who is doing that work. The work that's being done right here, the work that is being done right here at this park are these people. Flatland Resources. Whoops. That's not good. Oh, snap, it says. Okay, Flatland Resources. Let me show you. Stand by. Let me pull this back up. Here we go. Oh, this looks so nice, doesn't it? Flatland Resources is a landscape architecture and design build firm that is focused on community development and ecological restoration. FLR offers services in project management, grant writing, master plan design, consultation, permitting, stream restoration, and site construction. Okay. Look at all this. Look at all this great work they do. There, they take a picture of that river and they play with a cell phone with some other equipment. Look at this. This one, they've got a gray screen right here. Look at that. That's sexy. Look here. They put a drug vial down into the water. That's awesome. Here we got a picture of this dude's ass. Look at this. I mean, this is some hardcore work. Here's their methadone fill up, bottle caps in the river. Here they're stopped for lunch. That's what that guy brought for lunch. Here they're baptizing somebody. Okay. So this is a bunch of fun stuff. These look like fun, great people. All right. Well, who's doing the work on Till Pond? Let's look at who's doing the work on Till Pond. Muncie says Till Pond construction about to begin. Okay. Let's see. Oh, look at this. More than 4 years later, right now administration says 500,000 of about a 931,000 contract for construction will be paid by a state grant. Muncie's Flatland Resources won that contract. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Let me get that up there. You don't happen to have a picture of this, Charlize, where it says, if a little bit up the road from there, there's something that actually says Flatland Resources on the fencing. You don't happen to have a picture of that, do you? I know I'm asking you to do. I apologize. I just know that you routinely get out and take pictures of stuff like this. That's the only reason I'm asking. If you don't have to. Yes. Now, it's not just, it's okay. So now you say that like that means something to you, Kate. Does that mean something to you? Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking for a very specific reason. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Charlize. I can show it like this. So, and I'll get a picture of it tomorrow to show you guys on a later show. So look at here. So this is the point. What it looks like now. Okay, if Charlize would have been a little bit further up the road and would have taken a picture, you see where this red truck is? If the picture would have been taken from up the road just a piece, we would have seen on this fencing a sign that says Flatland Resources. I'll try to go by there tomorrow and take a picture, but let me ask you, if you're up by there tomorrow, if you could snap a picture and send it to me, that would be grand. And then if I get by there, we'll have a couple. If I don't, I'll try to, you try to, and then whoever doesn't, that's fine. But if we get two, then that won't hurt anything. All right. Here's where I'm going with this. Hang on, we're almost done. I'm not going to keep you 2 hours, I promise. But this is just, I got court first thing in the morning, so it'll be in the afternoon. But this is just the start of some stuff that we're going to start digging into, because I want to show you this. All right. Flatland Resources is doing both of these. And here is why I'm looking into this. It was brought to my attention today that they did not do bids for either one of these. They were just given the job. Okay. Well, that's interesting to me because the name Phil Tevis means something to me. Okay. I'm going to show you. Well, first of all, I mean, so Kate's right here when she says, I guess it's more like a question, isn't that illegal to not take bids? Yeah, I think so. I think it is. But I want to show you something that's going on. Let me pull this up here. All right. Okay, Kate, can you do me a favor? I'm going to share this tab instead. Can you pull up the Indiana Secretary of State's page, and can you type in the LLC, Dogtown LLC? Dogtown LLC. And if you can, if you pull that up, come on and then tell us who owns Dogtown. I'll have a couple of these for you to look up.
Can you hear me
Are
this
you there?
time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Dogtown LLC is owned by William Lett.
William Lett.
William
And
Lett is the CEO, and the president is Phil Tevis.
who is it?
Phil Tevis.
Oh, Phil Tevis. You mean like the Flatland Resources Phil Tevis?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Huh.
it would be. Now, can you do me another favor? Can you look up Hickory and Elm? Hickory and Elm LLC?
Okay. Hickory. And typed out, or is it an ampersand?
Ampersand.
Thank you. That can make a difference. I'm so proud of myself. I remember what that thing was called. Okay, so this one is registered agent is Margaret Lett.
Okay.
And CEO and manager is William Ward Lett.
Okay. The same people that are connected in with Phil Tevis.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm trying to find out. So where I'm looking, folks, I'm on Beacon. And where I'm currently looking this is the McKinley neighborhood. And for those of you that might not know where the McKinley neighborhood is, it's the neighborhood that's right across the street from Central and the new Y. The new Y is right here in this area. Central's right here. Okay. And Tevis owns lots of different properties in this area. Him and his various partners own lots of different properties.
Would you like some other company names that he's associated with?
Yeah. Ooh, Tevis?
Tevis.
Yeah.
Achieve Construction.
Achieve Construction. Yep.
Intuitive Design.
Mm-hmm.
Mud Puppy Properties.
Yeah, there's some Mud Puppy in here. I haven't been able to I haven't found them actually yet, but they're in here.
Tevco Oz Fund.
Yep.
Tev Fro Land Company.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well,
and the Flatlands. Flatland and Dogtown, but we already did those.
Yeah. So for a very long time, can you look up oh no, MDJ, those are the people that are doing the here's the deal. Here's what I'm getting at, folks.
Mike
there
Delta
are
Jeep.
Yeah, yeah, Mike David
Delta.
J Construction. So there are like 3 or 4 different groups of people who own and are connected with basically the majority of the homes in this area. And so what they've done is they've bought them at a very low price. When they tear all these houses down and make all of these row houses, I was going to call them council houses. What are they called? In England, they're called council houses. What do we call them here? When there's a bunch of houses right in a row?
Townhouses?
Townhouses.
Okay. MDJ is Matthew D. Jennings and Charles D. Jennings.
So those are the people that are doing the jail project. Turning that into the condos. Okay. And so it's just interesting to me that you've got all these same three people that tend to be all, connected to this thing, where they're going to make a shit ton of money. And it's like, how did they know to buy there? Normal people didn't know. Did they know it because their connection to all these little downtown groups that are all connected back to Dan? And moreover, why would anybody be getting jobs without paying the bids? That's a problem. Should be seen as a major problem. And so I just want people to be aware that we've got something going on here, and I'm just starting to scratch at the surface of this, but this is something we're going to be looking at. This is kind of like tied into like, and
I just want to be clear, Kristopher, you are not suicidal, correct?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's hilarious. So the thing is, this is just, it's interesting that we've got, these three people that are four people, five groupings, businesses or whatever, that are all getting this. And now we've got people that are getting pretty big bids, $900,000, $500,000 jobs without bids. That's a problem. And so we need to be asking questions. Why is this happening? So when the Craig Robbins out there are saying like, look at all the good things that are happening. Great. But look at all the underhanded shit that is also happening. It's the same underhanded shit that you all were mad at Tyler for doing. I was mad at Tyler for doing. So let's also be mad at Dan too. So I'm going to be looking into this more. I'm going to get all this together. This is seriously just something that I fell on today. Someone brought up to my attention. It all kind of goes in together. And it kind of goes in with the whole Adam Leach thing because the city engineer is involved with this. The street department is in shambles because they don't have actual leadership. It's complete bullshit. And all this kind of fits into an awkward puzzle together. And so this is something I'm going to be working on pretty heavily for the next couple of weeks. And I want you guys to know I've not forgot about the whole Ed Carroll thing. We're still working on that, and I'm going to be bringing that to you pretty soon too. So we've got a couple big stories over the next couple of weeks we're going to be working on and trying to bring your way and bring you a little bit more information. So just keep this all together, folks, and share the information, spread the word. Maybe ask those around you, hey, have you heard about this? Why is this happening? What's going on? And I'll bring you a little bit more of this put together and put together the information a little stronger in the next couple days. We will be live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Friday, right here at 9 p.m. We're normally off on Friday, but we will be here. So tune in tomorrow at 9. I'll have some information for you about Josh, maybe have some information to you about the Arnett deal, might have some information to you about all this. So tune in tomorrow. We'll be right back here, and we'll see what goes on. You guys take care. God bless. Well, absolutely, there's Stumblefoot. But what I'm saying is these people don't have that or didn't have that. These people were just in kind of weird jerk-off businesses here or there. Or I want to own a bar. Or I want to own this. But it also helps if you're in the right place at the right time and you have the right people and you pay for the right guy to become mayor. It also kind of helps that way as well. So keep that in mind. All right, you guys take care. God bless. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Peace.